Binfluencers.
Binfluencers, talking waste, occasional rubbish. Hello and welcome to the Binfluencers with Tim and Lou. I'm Tim and she's Lou.
Last time I checked.
Yeah, and with us today we've got Cathy Cook, who's Chair of LARAC and also
Senior Advisor at ReLondon.
Yes. Okay.
I feel like we kind of went through that before we started recording because you're still chair at the moment until...
I'm chair until the end of December, and that'll be 4 years, and then Gareth takes over in January. So, yes.
Exciting for everyone.
I know.
What are you going to do with yourself?
Well, I suppose I've got tons of work I need to do at ReLondon still. I'm still going to be doing loads of policy work. So a lot of the policy work I've done over the last 4 years for LARAC has kind of swapped over with my ReLondon role anyway. And there's plenty of projects for me to do at ReLondon, getting out there, doing some pilot projects, working with the London boroughs. So don't you worry. I shall still be very busy.
Around?
Yes, I shall still be around.
Still going to have anything to do with LARAC from any capacity?
Yes. So what happens is when I hand over the chair role at the end of December, and the new chair will be Gareth, which would be amazing because he'll be a great new chair. And then I will go back onto the exec. So we meet 4 times a year, twice in person, twice online, and we still sort of refer to things as in, like decisions and policy stances and that sort of thing. So I'll still be feeding into those kind of things and working with LARAC. But Gareth will be the one that will be going to conferences and chairing panels, and, maybe if he's not available, they'll wheel me out.
Can't you come to them anyway under another, I don't know, the fun... the LARAC event sponsor is... Yes.
I mean, I can still go, So, I'll still be around. Don't you worry about that.
Good.
Don't you worry about that.
So for the benefit of people who don't know, and to be honest, including me, what is ReLondon's role and what do you do?
So ReLondon has been going for about 18 years. And we are affiliated with the Mayor of London, and we work very closely with the Mayor of London and the Greater London Authority and all 33 boroughs. And we're a statutory body, and we provide guidance, support, etc. on waste and recycling, circular economy, policy areas, that type of thing. So we provide a lot of advice, but we also work with individual boroughs if they want project work doing. So we do pilot projects. We've recently done a pilot project on flats above shops. So that took about 2 years. And it's a kind of in situ, physical kind of what you're going to do for flats above shops and how you're going to roll out recycling. So anything that the boroughs want us to do really in that space. But there is a lot of flats work in ReLondon because we're about getting on for 50% flats in London as the whole housing stock, and it's a really tricky area.
What does that mean for food waste?
Yeah, good question. Yeah. So obviously with flats, you've got lots of different types of flats. You've got purpose-built flats, on blocks in estates where you might have upwards of, 200-300 flats. And then you've got flats above shops. So for food waste, it's a kind of case-by-case basis, really. So a lot of the problem is space. So for bin areas, you've only got a certain amount of space. So if you have to put in extra bins for food waste, then, that could be tricky. But also you've got to think about how people transport it. So with households, you give people food waste liners. But in a flat, you could be walking down, 5 flights of stairs and then across an area to go to the bin store. So you need to think about giving thicker liners and that sort of thing.
I hadn't even thought about thicker liners.
I know.
I've always thought about the comms because that must be quite difficult, because I know that a friend of mine, I'm going to call her Resident A, lives in a flat, and the communication for her has been so different for food waste than it was for myself.
Yeah.
But they've got a lot of elderly in theirs, and the comms was too difficult for them to digest, so they literally just threw it away. So I think it was actually the colour on colour. Is it neurodiverse, the blue on white or something? And it was eyesight and elements of other factors coming in of elderly people.
Yeah.
But they just couldn't get it through their heads. So they were just like, we don't know what we're doing. So then they were just putting rubbish in the recycling, and it all actually got really messy.
Yeah.
So I've only ever thought of it from a comms side as opposed to... I hadn't even thought about the travelling it from the flat to the storage.
Exactly.
And the areas themselves are really difficult. As you say, they're all completely different. We've just done a project, been involved in a project in Castle Point, just literally surveying every single location to say, what's currently here in this bin store and what could be here you know,
In flats?
when food in
Yeah.
well, flats and anything communal, because
Okay, yeah.
you know, there's a great difference between something that was built in the 1950s and 60s versus something that was built, you know, during the days when recycling existed. Because, you know, a block of flats that was built in the 1960s,
Exactly,
there's no concept of recycling, no concept of space for those bins.
And that's the thing for people, for local authorities rolling out food waste. Exactly like you've just said, Tim, you know, it's not a case of saying, oh, here's a flats area and this is what we're going to do. You have to literally go to every single one, and don't underestimate the amount of time it's going to take you. You know, it depends on the area, but you could have thousands of flats or hundreds of flat sites, and every single one might need a different solution.
Yeah. I don't know how you please everyone or get through to everyone.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that
we
is
would
the
love
case,
to know
isn't
how
it?
to please everyone.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you say, it's the communications, it's the operational side of it, like the bins and the liners and things. But what we've done in ReLondon a few times is we've done what we call ethnographic research, and I can explain what it is if you're not really sure.
Please
do. About 7 or 8 years ago, we did our first big flats project, which, you know, was about, I think it was on 12 estates, and it was over like £1 million. We did this massive piece of research. And what we decided to do was, you know, if you're a local authority recycling officer and you say, oh, that's a good space for a bin, we'll stick it there. What we thought was, well, you know what, if you're a resident, what's the best place for them? And we kind of, ethnographic research is putting yourself in the situation of a resident. And like we say, well, I've got to walk down 5 flights of stairs, I've got a pram, I've got a baby, I've got a bag of shopping, or I'm on my way to work, or do you know what I mean? And so we tried to sort of think how it would be best for them as their user journey, and use that as to where we would put bins and, you know, this sort of information that we provide. And we also do videos as well. A couple of people allowed us to video them in their flat, which was interesting because we wanted to video their behaviour. And they obviously, it wasn't a hidden camera or anything.
I love that as a concept.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, oh, how many people have got those?
I know. Interesting. On that project, there was a lady, and I think she had like a microwave meal or something, washed it out and put the plastic in, you know, the tray into the recycling. We went, oh, that's lovely. And then a few hours later she came back and she'd been to the pub, had a few drinks, had another microwave meal, and then chucked it in the rubbish. And you're just like, because she couldn't be bothered or forgot, or I don't know. And it's funny how you think people either recycle or they don't, right? But actually that's not true. It's like sometimes they do, sometimes they don't, sometimes they forget, sometimes they're too drunk.
Yeah. I think
So
with
looking
me
at
it's
behaviour change
knowledge.
is really good.
I've changed loads since being in the industry, and now having more knowledge has created a new version of me, and I get on my high horse a lot. And I swear people think I work for a council now.
Yeah.
Because I do get on my high horse about things, because I just have a little bit more knowledge and understanding of the behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And I say, oh, come on, guys, how would you do it then?
Yeah.
How would you push this forward if you're so good at it? And I've had many an argument, often drunk,
Yes.
about it. Yeah, they're my best arguments. But my behaviour has changed, and my recycling has changed. And to the point where I've got 2 bins, because I was recycling so much that... But that does depend on a week by week basis, to be honest. But it's interesting that knowledge has helped me, but it doesn't necessarily help everyone. Some people just don't care.
I think it's a shame, isn't it?
Yeah.
I always think, and this is quite anecdotal, that the people that don't care they're in the minority.
Yeah.
I think there are people who are absolutely fastidious about it. There are people who really don't care. And the kind of big chunk in the middle are most people who get it right sometimes, most of the time, but if they get it wrong, it's just because they're a bit confused, or
and it's not,
I just can't be bothered to look at that leaflet, so I'm just gonna, that type of thing. But they're the people I think that you can then easily change by just a little bit more education. And I think those ones that are never going to do it in a million years, it's like, that's a real shame. But you probably need to put more of your effort into those ones that are a bit confused, because you know, you're going to get more results out of that, I think.
Because the difficulty with communal and flats is that the 10% maybe who never will potentially ruin it for everybody by contaminating the good.
Exactly.
So I'm completely responsible for my own recycling because it goes in my bin, and you know the only person I've got to worry about is my wife, who is probably better at it than I am. But if you're in a communal and there's 50 flats sharing a stack of bins, you can be as diligent as you want, and if somebody comes and sticks a black bag on top of it,
well, there's no accountability, is there? Because they don't know who it is. My friend says, I go down there and they've not taken it away because it's contaminated. I don't know whose that is. There's no proof. There's no way of, unless you're going to put a camera in the bin store. If you've got one person now that doesn't care.
And even if you do, how are you going to follow that through? Yeah.
So one of the debates on the other podcast, that has slightly more listeners than we do.
Only a couple more.
Was about, in flats, where do you put the recycling bin versus the residual? Do you put the residual right at the front or do you put it at the back? And the debate is, if you put the recycling at the front, does that promote the behaviour, or does it actually promote contamination? Because those who never will just put it in the
literally,
first bin.
as in where it physically goes
in
outside
the
your
bin
property?
store.
Yeah, so as you go into the bin store.
In the bin store.
In the flat. So you go into the bin store.
Yeah.
You've got a line of bins. Is the nearest one, should that be the recycling, or should it be the residual?
It's a good debate. It's a good debate.
debate.
I think as long as you can access them all, because some bin stores are so small and you have the big 1100s. If you were to just put a massive, great big 1100 recycling and you can't access the residual, then the people that can't be bothered just go, I'll just chuck my black sack in there.
Yeah.
If it's more accessible, or there's like a row each side and you can go in the middle, I would say try and put the recycling ones near the front. So at least, you're making it a bit easier. And then hopefully those people who can't be bothered just go to the next one.
Yeah.
But we always say in the projects we've done, whatever you do, co-locate them. So if you have recycling over there and residual over there, then you know what? If my nearest bin's a recycling bin, and I can't be bothered to go over there and I've got a black sack, I'm just going to put it in the recycling bin. But as long as you co-locate them, then you can hopefully address some of that behaviour.
Yeah.
So
How are they?
Trips, are they?
How are they signed? Is it just a lid different colour? Or is there
it depends on the local authority. A lot of the time it's like
I would want
different colour lids or signage above the bins.
I would want massive signage saying this is what should go in this one and this is what should go in this one. And then, because I know at caravan sites, they're all trying to do the same thing and separate everything. And I go to the pod where all the bins are. I'm like, oh, I can see there's different bins. They're all different lids, but you're asking me to guess what's in it. And the way I did it was what other people had put in there.
Yeah.
Well, they've had to guess too. So majority of people would guess that one was recycling.
Yeah.
Okay, recycling goes in
They might be
there.
wrong.
Exactly. At the bottom, there could have been a layer of black bags.
Yeah.
I don't know. So I just think clear signage
Yeah.
is key for everybody, because I think I want to do it. But in that exact instance, I felt I couldn't, because I was like, I've no idea.
Yeah.
The food was obvious, but the rest of them weren't.
We had a debate on our webinar last week about food waste, about what colour food waste caddy should be. This is not particularly for flats, but what colour should a food waste caddy be? So,
And what was the end result of that debate?
well, if you ask 10 councils what colour a bin should be, you'll get 11 different answers.
That's the trouble. And the thing with internal caddies, because obviously you've got the internal ones and then you've got the ones that are collected outside. A lot of people like it to go with their kitchen. So a lot of councils go with like silver or something like that. So it looks quite nice, because green doesn't go with the kitchen or black doesn't go with the kitchen.
This was Dave Maidman's point. If you just spent 30 grand on the kitchen, you don't want the crappy plastic caddy that the council gives you.
Awful. It's the wrong shape.
It's
not the colour. I mean, the colour's not great, but I would give them
People
that.
are very fussy about the colours.
It's massive, so it comes up that deep with the massive handle at the back. I understand the handle concept. You're trying to fit that in your kitchen. Makes it really awkward, actually. So I've just bought a different one.
And this is what I mean about ethnography, is that as a council, and this is really, really hard to do, but as a council, you need to put yourself in the place of the resident, and you need to go, well, Louise is going to find that far too big and not a nice colour and far too difficult, but as a council, you need to almost go, I'm going to take one home and use it myself and try it out. And maybe they
got
did.
A bigger kitchen.
But it's so hard, though, isn't it? I mean, if you're a local authority and you've got, a couple of 100,000 of houses, but it's just about trying to sort of think about that behaviour.
This is the other thing. I'm not quite sure what the solution is, but what I see councils do is, they sit quite reasonably and decide what size and colour bin people are going to have. As if there's only one type of person and family in their entire council. And of course, I live pretty much alone with my wife. There's families out there with 4 or 5 kids in them. There's people living alone in a flat. And yet we're trying to say, well, what caddy shall we give everybody? And you're not going to please everybody.
I did think that about the end one. Because the one inside, okay, I understand 6 litre, because if you do any bigger.
Yeah.
Even more annoying. But the one outside, I did think, well, there's some people that probably won't be big enough for those big families, because at the end of the day, you do have more food waste when you've got children. You just do. And then the single families, like you say, where it's just a couple. My mum and dad have hardly any.
Yeah.
They would I think we put them out today for the first time. Everyone's very excited. I use the word excited carefully. There was a lot of emotions going on in our council at the moment with regards to food waste. But they have like one bag because they just don't have much food waste.
Yeah.
Whereas we've got loads more.
And it is hard because it isn't like it's not a one size fits all. And it's so hard for local authorities. So obviously the government have brought in, the different legislation like simpler recycling, etc., etc. And what they've done is they've left it to councils to say, well, you can decide the size of the bin and the colour and that kind of thing, which is actually good because maybe the councils know their residents better. But like you say, it's really, really difficult. But if you're doing communication, you want to say, oh, here's your silver 7-litre caddy. You can't go, well, if you're in a flat, it's this, or if you're in a house, it's comms is really, really hard at the best of times. So you need to be able to go, your black bin is this and your green bin is this, but there is so much behaviour change research out there to say exactly that different people, whether they're in a family or on their own or their age or rurality, want different types of things, and they will address recycling in different ways depending on their, background or, where they live and stuff. But at the end of the day, as a council, you've almost got to just do it as a one size fits all because it's expensive apart from anything else, trying to do it any other different way. Yeah. So there's a lot of challenges.
Interested to see how it all comes to fruition by, is it April? Or did they move it out?
April 2026 is for food waste. Yeah. Some local authorities have got transitional arrangements, so they can go slightly later, but the majority are April 2026. Yeah. Well, let's see what happens.
We're not doing it in Barnsley. It's not happening in Barnsley for another 5 years, I think. Because we have mechanical separation.
Okay.
So that's been.
There's a few others that have been similar to that.
There's a few others, like if they're in contract and they can't get out of the contract for like 2 or 3 years and things like that.
The costing. This is what I mean. These are all the bits of knowledge that I think it would be so good if it could be more common knowledge. Yeah. That all these conversations do happen. This isn't like finger in the wind stuff. It's like conversations happen. Really, everyone is trying their best to do the best service. Yeah. And then I read and I sit there. Because I don't like Instagram, I don't like a lot of social media, but I do happen to go through comments when anything is launched. I get annoyed, but also I find it quite funny because I'm reading you haven't got what would you do? Or you don't have a clue what's going on. But then I do, the factors that come out of it is always around communication and stupidity, I guess, a lot of it, if I'm honest.
Like you say, it's like saying, what would you do if you were running it? Because people say, don't get food waste, you're going to get rats. And it's like, you're not going to get rats because your food waste is going out anyway.
You're giving me less of a service.
You're taking the service away. And,
I've had that conversation.
Or it doesn't matter what you put in the recycling because they sort it all out when they get to the recycling facility and this sort of thing. And I think, people are so bombarded with information that if we were to put information out saying, well, actually, if you read this is what's going to happen, or if you go on social media and look at this is what actually happens. People go, I can't be bothered. I've got I've got 20 other things to look at, like really important stuff, like Strictly stuff like that.
That is very important.
And people would rather listen to rage than reasoned debate.
Of course they would. So
it's just more appealing to them. The Council of Those Idiots is a much more appealing story. Have a look at how this recycling centre works. Nobody really cares. But I think there is with my technology hat on, I think if you look at the average council, and it is improving, but it's nowhere near good enough yet. If you look at a logistics company like Amazon or any of those guys, they know everything about their customers. And councils know very little. And even the data they have, they lock up in silos and don't share it. So, the council know how many people live in my house, but the waste department don't, because council tax won't share it with them. So, you could, use that data. I mean, if you said to Amazon, deliver the right size food waste caddy to everybody who's one of your customers, they would do it easily. This guy lives on his own, this guy's got a family of 3. They know that, and they would ship the right size thing really easily because they've got the data and the technology. And councils really need to get hold of the data to be able to drive better decisions.
GDPR, isn't it? A lot of it.
But surely does it matter how many people live in your house? Is that covered under GDPR? Like,
No,
what is
you're probably
reasonable
right, actually.
knowledge?
No,
to know?
Yeah.
we're not doing marketing with this. You know, we're delivering it. We're delivering a service.
The trouble is, even if the waste department knew that and they said, "Oh, we're going to deliver you a small caddy because you live on your own, and you a large caddy who's got 5 children or something like that."
When did that happen?
Well, yeah. Still timely.
No, there's not, Cathy.
And the thing is, though, but again, it's about resources, isn't it? You know, if you're bulk buying caddies, it's a lot. 1, it's cheaper to buy them all the same size. 2, it's easier to just deliver them all out. And 3, we don't know if you're going to move out of your flat next week and a family of 4 are going to move in. And
there's too many factors to consider, isn't there, basically? Too many what ifs, too many unknowns.
There is.
Go with the masses.
Yeah.
I feel like this has turned into a podcast about food waste.
Well, I think we've come full circle to saying that it's too difficult.
It's too difficult to even talk about.
Which is actually why
I think
government had to legislate for food waste in flats.
Yeah,
because councils forever had seen it's just too hard, which it has been. And now it's still too hard, but they've got to do it anyway.
I think we're trying to find more solutions now because we're being pushed by the legislation, which some people could say that's a really good thing. But I think a lot of us in the industry, in the local authority industry, are saying, yeah, but we've looked at solutions. And it's not as if we can't be bothered to do it. They're just really, really hard
and expensive.
So we'll do what we can. We'll see what happens. You know, next year. I mean, it's great that there's going to be more food waste collected, but at the same time, the challenges are quite big. But
we'll see how much does get collected and what quality it is. Yeah. I think also it's allowed a more sort of national conversation about food waste.
Definitely.
Everybody can. We can all talk about you should be putting your food waste out.
Yeah.
You should be putting your food waste out if you live in one of these boroughs that happens to collect it, and you don't live in a flat. You know, so I think it makes it easier if it's universal.
Maybe people start thinking more about food waste minimising.
Yeah. That's what I've thought about. I didn't realise how much. I did waste until I'm looking at right in front of me. I'm like, God. And I thought I was quite good because I do prep. I do meal plan for the week. But little things like crumpets that come in packs of 8. Yeah, 8. I just don't need a pack of 8.
Put it in the freezer.
Yeah, see, I'm thinking this, and bread. And isn't it bread and potatoes are the 2 main things?
Yeah, there's like horrible statistics about how many million slices of bread are thrown away every day. Bread you can stick in the freezer.
You can do in the freezer.
Even potatoes, you can like boil them and then cook them and stick them in the freezer. But
I've been doing a lot of batch cooking. That Batch Lady book's really good for that. But yeah, I do find, even just the from the veg yesterday, there was just loads of stuff, like the shells of the sprouts. My son's obsessed with them. Right, he had loads of them.
That's good.
So he loves it. He loves food, to be fair. I like cake. He likes veg.
Yeah.
And just like carrot shavings, whatever you call them.
Yeah, peelings.
It was loads.
Yeah.
So, what do you do with them?
Give it to the
soup.
dog.
My dog, she can't eat anything.
Oh,
we are coming on to dogs.
Oh,
isn't that
we said
beautiful?
we'd avoid dogs.
I
love the way that you've brought that round.
Hattie can't eat anything.
Oh, because she's a princess.
She's a princess with a very sensitive stomach, although she did steal a croissant.
My Vizsla can tell the difference between me chopping a potato, which he doesn't like, and a carrot that he does. So I can stand there, chop a veg, and I'll chop the potatoes, and he does not move. As soon as I chop a carrot, he's there.
Yeah, Hattie knows the difference.
He knows the noise of a carrot being chopped compared to a potato.
Amazing.
Yeah, Hattie knows.
And he likes carrots.
Oh, he loves. Yeah, they both
it's
come.
Good for
they
them.
both come. They take a carrot each and they disappear off, and then they leave little bits of carrot shreds all over the house.
Oh,
but they do love.
I love that,
and they love the middle bits of broccoli.
Oh, the stalk.
The stalk. That's the word I was looking for. Yeah, thank you. This is what happens when you get.
So I couldn't do trimmings of the peelings.
Yeah, then happy days.
Yeah, well,
like
we used to give ours to the rabbits.
Yeah.
But no, I don't want rabbits now.
Yeah.
Or anything like that. But yeah, I mean, you could, I guess, put it on Facebook and say I've got loads of. It'd just be weird. I've just got loads of peelings.
Olio, couldn't you?
Yeah. Oh my God, could you imagine? I've got a bag of peelings for your pets if you want it. Yeah. Well, I was considering getting a tortoise.
Come round and get those. Because
you've got tortoise now, haven't you?
I've got 3.
Oh,
is that tortoises?
Tortoises.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they eat that kind of stuff, don't they?
It depends what time of year.
Oh.
So I was thinking I could get a tortoise. That might help.
Yeah, it's not going to help me in the winter.
They're also not very good at cuddling.
Right, actually. I mean, if you decide you want to cuddle the tortoise, there's not much it can do about it.
That's true. Yeah, you could catch them quite quickly, couldn't you?
I just like the idea of a tortoise.
They've got cute little faces, haven't they?
Yeah.
I like the bigger ones though. The little ones, I
like the giant ones in the Galapagos.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, they're turtles.
They are huge.
They're turtles.
No,
different
there's
thing.
at the Cotswold Wildlife Centre. We went to go and see them. There's a massive tortoise that are like I don't know, about 1/2 metre by 1 metre. They're huge,
and they live.
I
like
don't
100
want one
years
like that. Oh yeah,
yeah.
over that.
Yeah, these ones that we've got are well over 50.
Yeah,
so maybe the council could just give a tortoise to everybody.
That would go well. Food waste bin with a tortoise.
Exactly.
Yeah. Most people in my area didn't even open the bin to see there was another bin inside before they attacked everyone saying your caddy's on the inside.
So
the tortoise would be dead.
Oh, yeah. So maybe not such a good idea.
Maybe not such a good idea.
This was a Canterbury finding that they did that. They rolled out the bins with the food waste caddy inside, and lots of people, because if you look at, certainly in winter, you look inside a black bin, you can't see anything at the bottom of it. So they just got loads of them because nobody just dropped the black bag in at the top, and they never saw the caddy was there. So the caddies all turned up at the MRF.
Blimey.
All our caddies are damaged.
Which is what, coming back to the preferred colour for a food waste caddy, the consensus.
Oh yes,
that's my little mini drum roll.
Yeah, it's black with an orange lid.
Oh,
orange.
We're green.
Yeah, because it's visible to the collectors. Green is nice. The householders like it, but the waste collectors can't see it.
What do the householders and residents think of the orange lid? If you've just had a brand new kitchen and it's kind of
this is for the outside
ones.
For the outside caddies.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think they'll ever get it right for the inside ones. And if you don't like it, just buy a new one.
Yeah.
Some people are just not going to like
if you like it that little.
Yeah, I bought a ceramic one.
I've just bought one like that. I've said Joseph and Joseph one. It's just cream and a little bit smaller. Okay. They're the only ones that do the slimline one. I didn't, because I've got a really shallow kitchen worktop for some reason. I think it's because we've got so much stuff on it.
Yeah.
And
yeah, it's not shallow.
So much
Take all the stuff off.
The coffee machine. It is. It's my husband. I blame my husband. Yeah. The coffee machine takes up so much room, and then the microwave looks like a telly anyway. So it's about that big.
Welcome to middle-aged problems with Lou.
Oh, my coffee machine and my Joseph and Joseph.
I can't even use the coffee machine. I don't know how to use it. I use Nescafe from the cupboard. I can't use it.
So you're all skirt and no knickers because you've got the coffee machine, but you still use Nescafe.
Basically, yes.
Yes, okay.
Or anything that's on offer. It's not even always Nescafe. Okay. It's whatever is on offer.
But not Mellow Birds.
Draw the line at Mellow Birds.
No, maybe not. No.
Yeah.
But yeah, so back to dogs.
Anyway.
Dogs and vegetables and broccoli stalks.
And tortoises. And
tortoises. Why do animals eat food waste?
Yes.
I was thinking of doing like a booklet. I think we're working on something at the moment around messaging around food waste. And I was looking at other ideas, and I've seen other councils where they're promoting either reduce or some of the councils have been doing like weekly cooking things where you take your leftovers and then the chef will help you.
Yeah.
I call them chefs. I don't know if they are a chef or not, but they help them
Someone
make
who
something.
Likes cooking food.
Someone who likes cooking food that will help them make something out of it. I quite like that from a community base, actually, if I'm honest. But it's a bit like Olio. Yeah. But you take it and
we've
cook
just done exactly that, a project in Islington, and I went to help out there about a couple of months ago. And on a Friday, all the shops around about, they go to the shops and they give them leftover like veg and bread. You can't have like meat and fish because it's all sort of leftover stuff. Veg and bread and all this sort of stuff. And then they've got the staples at the community centre like rice and stuff like that. And I went to help out and I was like chopping cabbage for the day and, all this sort of stuff. And they make 3-course meal and the community can come along. And if you are, a little bit disadvantaged, it's a 3-course meal for £3.
Oh, that's amazing.
And it was lovely. It was so delicious. Like the lady made like a vegetable curry and there was obviously loads of bread. And so she sort of like cooked up some bread and then did some croutons and sort of made a bit of a soup and stuff like that. And it was great because the thing is, this stuff can all be used, and this was a really good community scheme. And I
want to do it for the lonely side of our community.
Yes,
there's a lot of people that are lonely, and I would like to encourage. There was a charity I was looking into last year that I'm still looking into now, trying to get something off the ground. I don't think it will happen anytime soon, but basically encouraging anyone who's lonely to all join together to eat a meal that would have been thrown away previously.
That
but
sounds
actually,
amazing.
I know, doesn't it?
Because that's the thing with this scheme is that you're using up waste food, which is great, but there's all, like you say, there's that social value because now they're coming to the community centre and they didn't know, Mrs. So-and-so sat next to them. They get talking, they go, oh, actually, let's meet up for a drink, or we're only,
or share
let's go
our food.
Yeah,
Because I remember when I lived in a flat on my own, that's how I met my upstairs neighbour, actually.
Yeah.
We did something similar.
Yeah,
and
it
you
makes
can,
sense,
because then if
doesn't
you
it?
buy a pack of potatoes,
Yeah.
you get so many in there. I'm not going to eat that amount of potatoes.
I know.
So you share. And then me and my mum would get the chicken and we'd buy in bulk and share it between us.
Yeah, definitely.
And then you can save
it's hard
money
when you're single, actually.
Really hard.
Years ago when I remember being single, and you can't buy, like, you can get the little tins of beans, but even that is a bit too much. And then you buy like a big tin of beans and half is slightly too much, so you end up having a third, and then you try and put it in the fridge and then it goes mouldy and you're like, So it is for single people.
Yeah, basically.
Gap in the market, people out there.
Yeah, but although markets for like fruit and veg, I think is easier because I'll buy 1 or 2 apples, not a bag of apples, and I mean, the punnets of stuff are still the same, but everything else I'll just buy one of now. That I've eliminated that wastage. Yeah. Because that was easier. But everything else, I'm a bit like, full pack of chicken. Yeah. 2's not enough.
I know. But this is where you need to freeze more stuff.
Yeah, my freezer is full.
Yeah.
Because I did the batch lady thing.
You need to eat. You need to eat what
I got really into batch lady and I've not done anything with it. So basically what I need to do is cook what I've got.
How this is not the sort of thing I ever thought I'd find myself discussing. How do you store your frozen food in the freezer? Because this is a Jamie Oliver tip which has changed my life.
Oh, okay. How do I store it? So the batch lady ones are in plastic bags with the thick double seal at the top. So most of it is like you prep all the sauce and stuff. Some you leave the chicken in, but some you add the chicken in to your dish in the dish.
When you freeze it, how do you freeze it?
Just
shove it in.
Stick it in.
Where it fits. Squish it. Punch.
Yeah.
Punch the veg in.
Try and get the freezer door closed.
Get your bag. Lay it flat. Freeze it flat, stacked. Yeah. And then once it's frozen, you can make a filing cabinet in your freezer drawers, and it is so dense you can get so much stuff in there, and you can just pick out what you want. Yeah.
I do like a filing cabinet.
Yeah. I do like a bit of filing.
What I hate about what I do is if I forget to write what it is, and then you've got freezer roulette. Because chili con carne looks very similar to spaghetti bolognese. Yeah. Really annoying.
Yeah.
Chili like spaghetti is not bad. This is on to why don't councils seize the opportunity and sell food waste caddies, diamond encrusted ones, stainless steel, whatever.
Put my order in.
Yeah, as you go online to report your missed bin or go online to order your garden waste service, why not? Have an affiliate. Amazon can do the whole fulfillment part of it. All you've got to do is put the thing on your website and say, would you like this super snazzy caddy for 20 quid? Take the order. You keep a couple of quid. Amazon do the rest for the 18.
Well, yeah. I know a lot of people who have ordered different ones. And
councils can't really... Well, one, we've got to provide the service for free, and two, we can't make money out of it. But I suppose you could sort of suggest it, but then obviously, there's hundreds of caddy companies out there. You can't kind of, just talk about one caddy company. But yeah, I know lots of people who've changed their caddy. But again, you have to be really into recycling, because if you don't want to recycle your food waste, as soon as you get a caddy that you don't like, you're like, oh, well, that's a great excuse not to do it. I'm not going to go and spend my money and buy another one.
No.
Where's that caddy go? Where do they put it? In recycling or?
They probably just put it under their sink. They put it in the garage.
No one's got enough room under their sink.
Screws or Lego in it.
Man stuff.
Man stuff.
Put
I
it
couldn't
in the
get it under
workshop.
mine.
Put man stuff in it.
God, I've got a collection of old batteries at the moment.
Yeah, I know. I need to test all mine because I don't know which ones are dead and which ones need to be recharged because I accidentally mixed them all together.
I feel like we've come out of a lot of problems, household issues. We should write a leaflet.
What we need is solutions, though, Lou.
Solutions to how? Yeah, I don't know what the answer is.
No,
I'd probably be a lot richer if I did.
So, a ReLondon question then.
Go on.
So, all the good work you're doing in London boroughs around Flatsmith shops and so on, how much of that is actually specific to London? How much of that knowledge could you just pick up and apply to Birmingham, Manchester, Glasgow, or...
Basically, all of it. So, ReLondon, we've got London in our name, obviously. But we work with dense urban environments and we're trying to address solutions to recycling. So you could literally, you could pick that up and put it in any dense urban environment. I mean, it doesn't even have to be a big city. You could put it in a town, anywhere where they've got flats, anywhere they've got flats above shops, because the principles are exactly the same. I mean, we've sort of said the actual areas are different, so you'd still have to go to every single flat, which you'd have to do anyway, but the principles are the same. There's lack of space, you have to think about the user journey, etc. We've developed in ReLondon, it's called the FRP, it's the Flats Recycling Protocol, which is basically, this is what you need to do for best practice. Good signage, like you were saying, locate the bins in convenient places, all these sorts of things. Make sure you have regular collections as well, because if you've got a really small bin store and you think, well, we can't put enough bins in there for enough people, because some of these are built in like the Victorian times, right? So we can't put enough bins in there. Well, it's simple. You just increase your collections, because if you're collecting it once a week, it's going to fill up. So see if you can collect it twice or 3 times. So we've got the flats recycling package on our website, but you can literally just apply that anywhere. So I think I would say we're definitely kind of the experts in that field. We've done as much as we possibly can to look into it, and if there was a solution, or there is some solutions, but if there was a silver bullet, we'd have found it by now. But so a lot of it is just good practice, like you've said. When you went to your caravan park, if you go to a bin and there isn't a sign, then you don't know what to put in it. Well, put a sign up.
I'd say that is fairly
it's not rocket science. It's really not rocket science. But so we'll see what happens next year with the food waste. Obviously, I think there will be a lot of struggles, but hopefully a lot of people will do it. I think flats above shops is a whole new issue. We've done that recently in quite sort of dense urban areas like Bethnal Green and places in Islington, and basically where you've got lots of shops, you've got flats above them. Some of them don't have entrances, some of them have shared entrances, so you've got like 6 flats in one entrance. And I would say the biggest thing is the pavement. So if you walk along a pavement, you've probably never really thought about it, you have got bike racks, you have got lampposts, you've got trees, you've got bins, you've got bus shelters, so it's like, where do you put a bin, and also where do you put a food waste bin, because this is what you need to put on the street. And we had to look into all sorts of things. So we had to look into planning, we had space requirements, we had to speak to anti-terrorism departments, because obviously people hide drugs and weapons in there. We had to speak to the heritage areas because they only want certain colours. So to provide food waste or recycling to flats above shops, it isn't easy. It's possible, but there's a lot of information that we looked into. It was a really interesting project, actually, over 2 years. I
hadn't even thought about any of those issues. Yeah.
We'd not thought about a lot of them. We just thought, well, we'll go out and see, and that's why we did the pilot. But a lot of the people that we had to talk to, like the people I've just listed, we never thought about that. Like for planning, there's something like it has to be 1.5 metres away from this, that, and we were like, oh, can't we just put a bin there? No. So yeah.
Interesting. I think the other thing with flats above shops is that by definition they're above a trade waste user.
Exactly. Yeah, that makes it tricky as well. So you've just got you've got a pile of bags. I've been there at like 6 a.m. looking at bags in Bethnal Green. Not my finest hour, but you have basically got a pile of bags and other rubbish.
Idea. Are there any photos of you doing that?
Oh, there are. Yes, there's some particularly fetching ones of me in the rain in my cagoule, living the dream. So if you're basically standing there looking at a pile of bags, and they're all different colours, and you're like, well, how do I know if that's from that shop, or that's from that flat, or that's just some random that's just walked past and chucked about? It's really, really hard. It's really challenging, But we're continuing to do research into it and pilots and stuff to just try and look at best practice.
So what do you think the top 3 priorities for LARAC would be for the coming year or 2?
Good question.
Good. Thank you.
Thank
you. Hours
did you think
of
that all by yourself?
I did. Yes.
So I finish in December. After 4 years, and the new chair starts in January. It's been an amazing journey, absolutely love it. But I have basically I have steered the LARAC ship through simple recycling, EPR, DRS, ETS, all those other acronyms. So next year there will still be all of that to look through. And I think it's just continuing to roll that out. Obviously, a lot of support around what we've said around food waste, that type of thing. A lot of advice around that. EPR seems to be sort of settling down, but there'll be a producer recycling organisation, a PRO, put in place next year. So it's really important for LARAC to get round the table with them, make sure producers are hearing us. DRS is fast approaching, as is flexibles. So I think next year it will be a lot of DRS, a lot of flexibles, and then of course the dreaded emissions trading scheme. So yeah, I'm just going to step back and see what Gareth does with that, because I'm like, yeah, I'm done.
Do you feel like you're just going like that?
Yeah, I'm going, yeah, exactly, yeah. Bye. Mind you, I've had one or two things to do in my time.
You've had a couple of things going on.
It will continue to be challenging, but yeah, we're continuing to just, be there for our members and provide as much support as we can. And we do engage with DEFRA and DESNES all the time. So we're continually putting forward, concerns and things like that. So that isn't really the top three. That's kind of a big bundle.
That's all right. That's absolutely fine. So this is not a ChatGPT question. This is
I thought you were going to not give the game
ideal
away.
For a short. No, this is ideal for a short. This
Go on.
So you just mentioned DRS. Personal opinion, good idea, bad idea?
LARAC have always said that they don't support it in principle. What we think, and we still think, is that local authorities provide a brilliant recycling service. They collect aluminium cans, they collect plastic bottles. We've always collected a really high volume of that. So why put in place something which isn't proven in this country? DEFRA do refer to it as from other countries, but that's where they don't have a good curbside system. So it's not proven, and it costs millions. So we have always said we're not completely against it, but let's get simpler recycling and EPR underway. Let's see what happens with that and if that generates more material, etc., before looking at DRS. Obviously, the government have decided to go ahead with it. It's a lot of money which we think could be spent better elsewhere. So we're going with it. But
won't councils ultimately lose money because the good stuff that they collect, they can sell to be remade into other things and actually get a little bit back. If all of that good stuff's taken away from their sites, all they're left with is the rubbish that's literally rubbish, that's not worth anything. That seems to me...
we're going to be losing a lot of money, exactly. And that's something else that we're talking to the department, the DMO, the Deposit Management Organisation. So we're saying we're going to be losing a lot of money. We need to do a few sums on that, but we've looked at a couple of councils, and we're talking millions overall. And the other thing is that at one point DEFRA did say that we could get the deposits from the material that's still in the curbside that isn't put through the DRS system. And we were like, how are we going to do that exactly when it's been in the bin, put in the back of a lorry, gone through them, and so, but they're now saying, oh yeah, you can't do that. So we need to talk to them about it. So yeah, we're not a fan, and we gave the reasons why, but it's going ahead, so we have to work with what we've got.
How do other councils share with LARAC?
So obviously LARAC's a membership organisation. We've got 80% of members. So if you are in one of those 20%, get in there and join up. It's really good value for money. You get a ton of webinars and conferences and information and website information and all that sort of stuff. So they can hop on there. So really you have to be a member to kind of access all of that. So there's also a discussion forum. So if you are a member, when you're talking about sharing good practice, you can hop on the discussion forum and literally say, hey, what's the best colour caddy? Or, that type of thing. And members can chat to each other because that's the best way of doing it, because they've all been through the same experience. If you've had an issue, you can be sure that they've probably had the same one, and some people's got a potential solution. So yeah, join up. And the membership fee has stayed the same for 5 years. So...
good value for money.
And
everyone is lovely.
And everyone's lovely, especially me.
The conference is all right as well, isn't it?
The conferences are really good.
The conference is great.
That's my night out of the year, the October one. I do love that.
It is great. You get to wear your sparkly dress.
Yeah, I know. Your sparkly dress this year was beautiful.
Yeah.
My pink Donald Trump jacket.
Which I didn't realise had Donald Trump on it until you were walking in front of me, because you had said, it's my Donald Trump jacket, and I thought you meant as in it was like what he would wear.
Right, yeah.
And then I saw you walking in front, I was like, oh, that's actually got Donald Trump's face on it. Okay, now that all makes sense. But that was, it was such
I'm
a
not
good
entirely
night.
sure why, but I hope you're being ironic, but yeah.
Well,
Because
this is the great thing.
like to
So
be
many people
different.
asked me, are you a supporter or are you taking the mick? And I refused to
You didn't answer.
Like,
Do you want,
make your
own
do you want
mind
this short
up.
to be your answer?
I think anybody who actually
Tim,
knows me
why
would know the
did
answer
you?
to that. I
Well-
remained, as always, enigmatic.
Cool.
I'll chuck a final question then.
Okay.
I just wanted to ask, do you generally feel optimistic about the way Simpler Recycling is going to roll out from April next year?
We are aware, and it's no surprise to DEFRA whatsoever, there will be a lot of local authorities who are not ready, and DEFRA know this, simply because there is a shortage of vehicles and receptacles, and it's challenging, as we've said. But I think every single local authority is doing the best they possibly can. And I think as long as they're going in that direction, DEFRA are happy with that. They can see progress. So we'll have to wait and see. I think it will take longer than 2026. Maybe if we look ahead to 2030, most places will have it in most areas. There'll still be challenging areas. But I mean, it's great that it's been put into legislation, because somewhere like curbside is quite straightforward. But yeah. I don't think it's going to be 1st of April 2026 blanket coverage.
Yeah.
Sorted. Done.
Yeah, right.
Smashed
Tick.
it. What next?
Well, thank you very much for joining us today, Cathy. And
Very welcome.
As always, Lou, thank you for joining me here on the slightly weird sofa.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Influencers.
Binfluencers. Talking waste, occasional rubbish.